Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sons Show. That's at the Loyal Sons on all of the social medias. Follow us here and follow us there for Pitt sports content you will not want to miss. If you hate West Virginia, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sons Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt athletics fix. Today is whatever day it is that you just happen to be listening to us. But I can tell you one thing, it is certainly Brawl Week.
It's here. It's in week 3. 2-0 for the Panthers, 1-1 for the Mountaineers. So could have had game day, but game day's there or not. Whether Herb Street's there with his dog or McAfee's rambling nonsense, Pitt Panthers and West Virginia Mountaineers still play football on Saturday. That's all that matters.
Today felt like Brawl Week. On my ride home from work, I was thinking about all the possibilities of what could happen in the game, what would make me feel scared, and what would be awesome to happen. And then I could feel it in my belly that it was Brawl Week. So it's real.
Yeah, the random rushes of sheer panic, just sitting at my desk working, and then, you're suddenly overcome with anxiety. That's how I knew it was Brawl Week. How beautiful it is to love or hate something so much that you're forced to feel such ways.
Wouldn't want it any other way.
No, I would not. And unfortunately, we will have it other ways the next 3 years. This is the last Brawl until 2029. There's a 3-year gap in the series. Once again, I don't know how either administration let this happen. I don't know how they let it happen the first time around. I guess with the initial realignment and everything, it threw everything off, made things difficult. But they reinstated the series and then didn't figure out a way to keep it annually. This better be the last break. They better play this game for the rest of time from 2029 on until football no longer exists, or we no longer exist as a human race. This is as good as it gets. If you're a Pitt or West Virginia fan, and most of college football doesn't have a rivalry at this level. The Brawl, I mean, it can make or break a team season. It can salvage a season. It can ruin a season or legacies. And I'm glad we have it this year. Already pissed off that we won't be having this same discussion, this same preview episode next year.
Part of my drive home panic attack involved the thought that just said, you know what? Just win this week, and after that, who cares? Everything else is a bonus. And while I'm only kind of joking, I really don't want a 3-win season. I don't want a even longer losing streak to end of the season. But that's kind of how it is. It's like, look, if we lose this, we'll be pissed off for the next 2 months, no matter what happens, because I think we're going to talk about it. It does not appear to be a very good West Virginia team, and losing to them would be brutal.
And they get to hold the bragging rights for the next 3 years while the game isn't.
It's the biggest one. The first is awesome because you're 1-0 against your rival since it came back. Then the 2 in the middle, yeah, you have it for a year, but you know the next one's coming. This one is just an auto win for any Twitter argument until 2029.
It's true. Oklahoma State has gotten dog walked in Bedlam for about 100 years. They won the most important one. They beat Oklahoma right before Oklahoma, cut ties and dipped to the SEC. And so they just have bragging rights forever. Despite, again, I think the breakout in that series is like 80-20 or something absolutely ludicrous that could theoretically preclude it from actually being called a rivalry. No, it's ridiculous that we weren't able to make it happen, for all the reasons you guys talked about, but also there's been a huge shakeup in scheduling lately because of the SEC's push to add a ninth conference game, and the Big Ten's push to never, ever play another difficult out of conference game.
The stars were kind of aligning. It was like, you messed it up, but here, we'll help you fix it at the 11th hour. And they still couldn't get it done.
No. Alabama dropped West Virginia as a series. I don't know. Were they playing 2 years or just next year? Either way, Alabama needed to make room for another conference game, and West Virginia decided to schedule our mother of the great and blessed sorrows or whatever.
Yeah, and the Pitt Panthers just added a game at Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi to open the season next year.
Some schools aren't afraid of combat.
That's just one of those games that, like, that's like a theory. Like, yeah, that's the game I play when I open up my NCAA dynasty. Like, I just schedule a game at Ole Miss just to get a SEC road game under my belt. Such a random, but should be a cool road trip. Random opponent, but cool opportunity for some Pitt fans to get exposure to the SEC. I know a ton of us made it down to Knoxville last time. I'm sure we'll have a solid showing down in Oxford, Mississippi next year. And also probably dropping the Wisconsin game, the game in Madison.
Yeah. So there were a lot of questions about that on Twitter today. Obviously, they would not be the same date, and I think that made people miss the point there. What we had heard was that Wisconsin was trying to get out of that game. They could only get out of the game in Madison. I think they're pretty contractually tied up with the one in Dublin in 2027. But again, because the Big Ten is cowards and they think that the best way to jam as many of their middle tier dog shit Midwestern programs in the former Big Ten West in as possible is to schedule nobody in the out of conference. So they were looking to get out of, from what we heard, allegedly. So all of these insults that I just threw out are all based on something I'm going to throw an allegedly on. They wanted out that game, out of that game with Pitt. So Pitt scheduled Ole Miss, was working with Ole Miss in the background. And I imagine whenever Wisconsin eventually does cut and run, we're going to throw just a FCS or a group of 4 team into that spot. So not a direct replacement, but by like 1 degree of separation is a replacement for that Wisconsin game.
All that to say, they somehow didn't figure out a way to fill that with West Virginia. It's filled with Ole Miss. It'll be fun. I'll be happy to check it out. I hope I can make it to Oxford next year.
You will.
I will be making it to Oxford next year, but I wouldn't have minded another trip down to Morgantown, even if it meant back-to-back road trips. We don't fear combat here in Pittsburgh, here in the ACC.
No, we don't. But instead, we're going to be making that flight down to Memphis, Tennessee, renting a van and driving another 2.5 hours to Oxford to experience maybe the most opposite kind of college environment as could possibly exist comparative to Pitt and Oakland, Pennsylvania.
That's a discussion for a later date. Pretty much a complete, almost exactly a year from now. But for now, we have more important, bigger fish to fry coming this Saturday. A quick trip down 79 to Morgantown, West Virginia.
Yeah, so let's get into it. Some mixed news on day 1 of Brawl Week. West Virginia announced today that they have lost essentially their 2 best playmakers on offense. Jaheim White, their starting running back, who is preseason All Big 12. He is out for the rest of the season. He pretty clearly got his knee messed up pretty badly against Ohio University. It was one of those, no doubt, bring out the cart no questions asked. He was definitely struggling with that one. And then their second receiver, Jaden Bray, is also apparently either out for the season or out for some time. That's tough. I think ideally would beat your rivals at full strength, but they will not be participating in the brawl. Who will be, though, if Twitter is to be believed, in the last hour, Jamori Robinson, a defensive end transfer from UTSA, has been granted eligibility. So would either of you like to talk about kind of how absurd that young man's journey is and the fact that he's going to be playing in a college football game this weekend?
Well, he was part of the appeal with the three other West Virginia guys that they were trying to get the extra eligibility. Jamori Robinson, by the way, transfer from UTSA, but prior to that, he's kind of one of those guys who got caught in the mix of, well, one of those guys, like it wasn't the entire country, the entire world, but one of those guys in the world of college football who got caught in the mix of COVID and kind of lost a year there. So 2019 out of high school, he goes to JUCO, Dodge City Community College. 2020, the COVID year, goes to Monroe Community College. Season's canceled due to COVID. Pretty much everyone got that year back. And then spent the last 4 seasons at UTSA. That's Texas San Antonio. So yes, he's been in college playing football since 2019. And here we are in the year of 2025. And, one of you guys have some more details? I was under the impression this guy wasn't even like going to school.
Yeah, I think that's why he didn't get additional eligibility on top of being a 25-year-old man who had run out of eligibility as we know it to exist. He was not going to school. That's why all those other guys were allowed to suit up week 1 and he wasn't. He was not going to school. He was not a student. So how do you play for the school when you aren't enrolled in classes? I'm all for player empowerment, but I do think we need some guardrails. We need some sort of limitation on who can play in a college football game.
On top of that, I think maybe even the dumbest part is the fact that there's a decision being made on this before week 3 of the season. Why would this not be sorted out before the year? But that's just how the NCAA rolls. Also, this isn't like confirmed. He tweeted beyond grateful, and a couple like West Virginia accounts similar to us, but less good looking, not as intelligent, and less cool have tweeted that that's like the word on the street. So it's possible that he'll play. It's also possible that this won't happen and he might not play Saturday. So we'll cover our bases there.
So a mixed bag worth of news for West Virginia today. If this mostly is day bad, 1 of though. Brawl week, yeah, mostly bad. Although, a good defensive end can change the complexion of a game, change the complexion of a defense. And he had, as we discussed, 10.5 sacks last year at UTSA, which, as far as group of 5 programs go, ain't a bad one.
Yeah, defensive player of the year in the American last year. So definitely no slouch. Definitely someone who I'm sure West Virginia fans would welcome back with open arms, especially if they can get him just days before the brawl. I'd like to touch a little bit more on the bad news. Make me feel better to talk about bad things that happened to West Virginia than good things that have happened to West Virginia. But Jaheim White, he probably their best offensive player, maybe their best player on that roster this year. Probably the player that I thought if we were going
the most.
Yeah, if we were going into this preview, I would say that's probably priority number 1 for us to focus on as someone who could win the game for West Virginia. For him to be out, that's brutal. That's a brutal loss for West Virginia, not only for Saturday, but for the rest of the season. And I said this about them losing the OU, and I'm going to say this about them losing Jaheim White. It's just making me more nervous and more anxious about the brawl. It's like, oh, you just came off a heartbreaking loss to a MAC school. You need to salvage your season, and you just lost your star running back. Let's all rally around him and beat Pitt, even if we win 2 games this season. Make one of them Pitt. And that's maybe just the brain of a Pitt fan. That's just the brain of someone who's been around the Brawl. But yeah, it's a little eerie feeling for me. It's like, oh my gosh, they're gonna find some third string running back who just has his breakout game and has to never pay for a drink in Morgantown ever again in his life because he runs for 2 touchdowns against Pitt.
I think I even saw some West Virginia fans on Twitter complaining about how bad their running back depth was. Like the next guy up, I just lost his name.
Is it Clay Ash?
Clay Ash, yeah. He's like a 5'9", 190-pound bowling ball. So that type of running back scares me a little bit less as well, especially after watching what the defense just did against.
I was just going based off the name. Is he also white?
Don't know.
Yes.
I'll report back. Okay. Yeah. All right. Just confirming. So white bowling ball running back. Got it. Much less scary than Jaheim White.
Narduzzi did compare him to Scattaboo in his press conference, so I'm.
There we go.
That's like the new comparison these days. But that style of running back makes me worry a little bit less than Jaheim White, who is just kind of a really good, well-rounded back that can beat you inside or out and has the home run ability.
Yeah, Clay Ash is currently working with 9 carries for 25 yards on the season, so not quite Jaheim White level playmaker.
Or Cam Scattaboo.
So what this is going to result in is a million quarterback designed runs. Pat Narduzzi and company better be ready to learn Jalen Henderson is kind of what I'm thinking. Jalen Henderson is a transfer from Texas A&M. He's definitely the style of running quarterback that I think Rich Rod would prefer to have as his starter. Everything that I have gathered is he cannot throw a forward pass. So they keep Nico Marshall in at quarterback, who can kind of run, but isn't nearly as big of a threat. But it also kind of begs the question, can Nico really pass? Because I wasn't seeing it against OU. His numbers, he went 15 for 26, which if you had made me blind guess his numbers after watching the game, I would have said like 12 for 30. He was just missing guys horrendously. Put a couple balls out of bounds when he had open receivers along the sidelines. Just a really, really rough day for him. So I think it's just kind of proof what we said a few episodes ago. If you have 5 quarterbacks, you don't have any.
Either way, after what we just said there, whoever suits up, it seems like Pitt had a pretty good tune-up to prepare for what West Virginia might resort to doing. Quarterbacks who can't pass that much but can run, might try to make a sloppy game, control the clock. Exactly what Central Michigan just did. So might be another annoying game.
There is one more quarterback in the mix there. Scotty Fox Jr. He's a true freshman from Mentor, Ohio. Look up Scotty Fox Jr. He looks like sunshine from Remember the Titans. And he did against RMU, I believe. He broke a long touchdown, like a 60-yard rushing touchdown in the game that they played 4 quarterbacks. But yeah, Scotty Fox Jr., does he get some snaps? Feels like, once again, a weird Brawl thing. Throw in a true freshman, and he's instantly he has a couple big plays, and all of a sudden West Virginia fans are making Muse and fan Twitter accounts proclaiming him the next Heisman winner. Scotty Fox Jr. also in that mix, also more of a mobile quarterback himself.
Oh man, that's totally what's going to happen, isn't it?
Do we think Nico Martial, do we think he finishes the game? Is he the starting quarterback? Is he the quarterback for West Virginia going into the fourth quarter on Saturday?
I'm going to say no because Rich Rod did put Henderson in for a drive or two, and when that yielded nothing, gave up and put Nico back in. Obviously, looking for answers. I just wouldn't be surprised if we saw a little bit of gamesmanship here, and even if it wasn't like a performance-based yanking for Martial, if he rolls with more quarterbacks than we saw last week, because it's a rivalry game. We might be bad this season. We're down a couple playmakers. Let's get weird.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a situation where it's like, uh-oh, here comes the third quarter or fourth quarter. Time to mix it up. I would be more inclined to believe that on the second drive, we might see a second quarterback unless the first drive just goes super smooth. I think they just might try to throw as many curveballs at us as we can, and if one of their quarterbacks has some success, keep trotting them out there. Maybe it's their day. And since they have seen the two main guys who they probably expected to play in action and neither looked that great, it's not like they're tied to anybody. They have 80 new players. You don't have to worry about, oh, what if this guy transfers because he's unhappy? It's like, no, we don't know if any of these guys are good. And we need to find out, and we need to win this game. So that's what's most important. So Rich Rod, of all coaches, I feel like would be one to do that.
So what do we think? We've spent all this time talking about the weirdness that is this West Virginia team right now. They're reeling. They're coming off tough loss, losing a key player of their team, potentially adding a new key defensive player to their team. But how do we feel about the Panthers going into Saturday? Is there anything that you guys have seen through the two games thus far? Either side of the coin, something that you're really excited about for Saturday, something that has you really optimistic. Any things that we've maybe been able to skate by against an FCS and a MAC team with that you're worried could be exposed against a Power 4 opponent?
I'm going to say something that makes me feel good. I'm not going to say what it will expose us first, so I'm going to ignore your question, Dylan. Whenever Eli Holstein is healthy, for the most part, the offense puts up a lot of points. Whether we're angry for an entire quarter because the offense stalled out a bunch or there were turnovers in between, one way or another, we put up points. And this is going to sound like the simplest way to win a football game, but our offense puts up points. Their offense, after watching last week against Ohio, who got gashed by Rutgers, could barely move the ball. So, yeah, it might be ugly. It'll be a scrappy game at points, but I think they're good enough to find ways to score. Desmond Reed is good enough to have a big return, bust a long run, get open in the passing game. Poppy Williams and Kenny Johnson are explosive. Might be up and down, but I think they're good enough to find ways to put points on the board, and that'll be enough. That's why I'm feeling good.
Let me rain on Squid's parade. One thing that I'm worried about, to answer your question as it was posed, it's looked pretty good so far. You know, there's some things that we're worried about, but I think we're pretty happy thus far with our two tune-up games. But we need to keep in mind, we've played Duquesne and we've played a MAC school that will probably end up losing, or all things considered, is probably 20 points worse than Ohio. So we really haven't played any real competition yet. I promise you, and this is not my bold prediction, but I promise you there is going to be something that Pitt is bad about that we find out about in this game that you didn't know about previously because of the level of competition that we played. There's going to be some measure of our game, some facet of of this year's team that you feel comfortable right now, you listening to this, that is going to get exposed on Saturday? And I think that's just the way it is when you start off with two teams you have to pay $1 million to come to your stadium. I don't know what it's going to be.
Pick one. What's
I guess offensive line could be the easiest one. You know, you can hold up some lower level defensive ends, but you know, maybe Jamori Robinson gives Ryan Bayer hell. Maybe that could be it. Our secondary would be another concern of mine.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of my red flag. Don't want to put it in the universe, but I'm doing it. We finished last week having to play two freshman cornerbacks for the last 3 quarters of the game. One of them being a true freshman, Sean Lee, the other redshirt freshman, Shadarian Harrison. That worries me. Going into a rivalry game, does Rich Rod say we're just going to attack these freshman corners, make them make plays, put them on islands? And I know that they didn't exactly show that they had much of a deep threat in the passing game last week against OU, but does it become a thing where they're just attacking those guys one-on-one and they're getting down the field, pass interference, holding, attacking these young corners?
I know this won't change your answer, Dylan. It might actually make you feel worse, but
I know where this is going.
Pat Narduzzi said that we won't be having to play 2 freshman cornerbacks the whole game, kind of implying that Battle and Lynham will be back in play.
Exactly.
So does it change your answer? Probably not. It's just 2 different cornerbacks that we're worried about.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't.
I don't worry about Lynham.
Make me feel better. Look, I would rather have experienced guys out there, even if they're experienced guys that I have experienced watching them get beat and hold guys and pass interfere from time to time. And I also don't necessarily believe Narduzzi that they'll be playing. So that's the other side of that. All that being said, the corners, yes, I'm terrified that they're just going to throw deep jump balls. I've watched more than one Pat Narduzzi era Pitt game where we lost solely because our corners were getting harassed and opposing receivers drew several penalties that swung the game. So there's my reason for pessimism. I feel like I've been very negative so far. Wasn't planning on solely saying how nervous I am about this game, but that's about all I've done for this 30 minutes in. We are.
I think I know what you're doing. I think I know what we're doing. It's the same thing that the group chat's doing. Trying to manage our expectations as best as possible because we are Loyal Sons word of the decade, snake bit. We're snake bit. We know that none of us want to say it. West Virginia looked terrible against Ohio. That is simply not a team we should lose to in any universe. And that's exactly why we're worried we're going to lose to them. So you're trying to manage your expectations. Squid's trying to manage his expectations. Everyone in Pittsburgh is trying to manage their expectations because they know what they saw on the North Shore on Saturday. And then they know what they saw in beautiful Athens, Ohio, Saturday afternoon. And we're trying to stop our brains from pointing out the obvious, which is that Pitt has a much better football team this year than West Virginia. Because pride comes before the fall. How many times has this program taught us that?
Couple.
Far too many.
Far too many. So, Dylan, I don't blame you at all for trying to come up with reasons to not get your hopes up. But let me be the one to break that glass ceiling. We should kill this team. We should. And I know that you listening at home are cringing hearing that, and you're knocking on wood, and that's fine. You know, you're expecting a close game. You're even expecting maybe Pitt loses just because West Virginia has, in our minds, something more to play for because they're down a couple guys and just had an ugly loss. But if Pitt's ever going to make that next step as a program, you take care of the teams you're playing that suck, that are clearly programs undertaking a massive rebuild. And I'll cross my fingers and knock on wood and say please win and use my manners the way we do every week because we're afraid of the worst possible scenario. But like, I think we can talk freely about the fact that based on what we saw on Saturday, West Virginia can't block. They can't protect their quarterback. They can't pass the ball. Without Jaheim White, they struggled significantly to run. And outside of a couple bad decisions, Parker Navarro threw all over them. We can admit that. We can say that out loud. And if we lose, we'll just know that Pitt sucks too.
Yeah.
And we don't have to care as much the rest of the way. But I'm tired of pretending to be scared as to not tempt God. We should beat this team.
You're
I was
right.
going to say what worries me, because I went backwards and gave my positive answer first, was they sucked last year and they should have beat us. And it was a home game. We didn't know what they were like whenever we played. They looked decent, but they ended up not being very good. Their quarterback got transferred to receiver. And yeah. So yeah, the rivalry aspect will make it close.
Are you referring to Garrett Green trying to make the Bucks as a receiver?
Yes. Heisman dark horse, Garrett Green.
Should have been a receiver the whole time, according to West Virginia Twitter.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
So we haven't said the biggest cliche in sports when it comes to rivalries, which is throw the record book out the window. You have to do that. But I like this matchup.
No, you absolutely do. And I mean, with rivalries, you know how it goes. Games that should be blowouts end up being rock fights and you know, head scratchers and nail biters and all of those platitudes. But you can't tell me what you saw Saturday wasn't encouraging in both directions.
I think I just may never get over the 2022 Brawl because it was the worst football game I've ever seen with my own two eyes.
True.
And that Pitt team was so bad, and they still probably should have won that game with like any other human being, any other undergrad at the University of Pittsburgh playing quarterback. They probably win the game. Yeah, I agree with you, David. I think we're better. I think the move in the Vegas line initially opened up at 2.5. It's already up to 6.5. Indicates that we are the better team. Yeah, I saw that. I looked on DraftKings right before we started recording. Yes, I saw 6.5 on DraftKings. So that line is moving. People are seeing that. Joe Public seeing that after the results of Saturday, which you're telling me right now, the results of Saturday, they're encouraging, and everyone immediately went to their betting apps and started betting on Pitt. Not a great sign. That being said, I agree with you. We are better. We are better at the quarterback position, certainly. Eli has looked like early 2024 Eli through 2 games, whereas West Virginia is still trying to figure out which of the 4 quarterbacks they want to play. I think we have the better playmakers on offense, Desmond Reed, and the receiving core has looked solid through a couple games. Obviously, you know, on the defensive side, I don't think West Virginia has anyone in the same realm as Kyle Lewis on that side of the ball. So I think we have the talent advantage. I think we've looked better this year. I think we are the better, more well-rounded football team. But once again, it's the Brawl, and anything can happen.
So are we narrowing this down to say the X factor of the game is the Pitt coaching staff.
I
Pat
was just thinking
Narduzzi,
that.
a lot can happen there. I don't know what he's going to do. But Cade Bell, if he stays hot, if he's in his bag, there's no way we shouldn't win this game. I know last year, things looked good at times, like really good. West Virginia game specifically. But when you actually go back and look, you're like, wait, why the hell did we try that? Or like, yeah, no shit, that play didn't work. What are we trying to do here? There were a lot of like 10-yard losses and that 1 4th down call that I can't even describe on a podcast. It was like a shovel pass, but not a shovel pass.
The one to Kenny Johnson.
Yeah, whatever that was. Don't do those things this year, Cade Bell. I'm sure Pat Narduzzi is telling him, like, hey, we're good. Don't try to be like a super genius and reinvent the wheel. Like, get the guys open. Eli will hit them.
Going back to that, like rewatching that, it is funny because there's, like you said, like a handful of plays. You're like, what could they possibly have been thinking here? Cade Bell was probably like just so juiced up. He went from coaching at Western Carolina to now he is the OC in a nationally televised backyard brawl. And he's like, oh, I'm absolutely going deep in my bag. And all of America is going to know how good of an OC I am. I think he's got his feet wet. He's been there. He's been there before. This isn't his first brawl either. There's no first brawl jitters for Cade Bell. And I think David, you said this in the season preview episode. We all feel like Cade Bell might be making a step this year. He's got a year under his belt of coaching at the Power 4 level. And yeah, I'm excited to see what Cade Bell schemes up on Saturday. I feel like we could be heading towards a big Cade Bell game, which typically just translates into a big Holstein game. They go hand in hand, which is also somewhat part of what I'm going to be predicting. I think we're all giving some bold predictions here shortly, along with our score predictions. Mine is Eli Holstein adjacent. So,
do you think he has anything left in the bag as a holdover from, you play cream puffs the first 2 weeks? Do you think there's anything we haven't seen yet that they've been sitting on specifically for this occasion?
Yes.
I think Desmond Reed will be unleashed in the passing game a lot more. They've given him like a pass or two a game. I think this game, it'll be like the UNC game almost, where he's our leading receiver. I would not be surprised if that's what they go back to.
I'm actually a little bit more concerned about the opposite sideline. Rich Rodriguez has had a long time to fester over 13-9. And what would be sweeter for him than to come back to where it all began on September 13th, 9/13 of all days, and take one back? I wouldn't be surprised if he was like in MacGruber, when MacGruber writes down that dude's license plate number like a million times in a notebook and like writes it on walls and shit and memorizes it. I wouldn't be surprised if he was doing that with 13-9 the last 20 years. And this is now his opportunity. What if he's just been preparing for this game since the day he got fired from the University of Michigan and realized he might need to climb back up the ranks of college football again one day?
Yeah, I think if there's anything left in his bag, it's coming out on Saturday. Like this,
he's emptying the clip.
Yeah, this is every trick play you have, every muddle huddle, goofy defensive shift. They're pulling it all out. Got to lay it all out there on Saturday. You got to win back this fan base after a tough week too. And I agree with you. I think Rich Rod's got to have something in store. So can we do predictions?
Let's do predictions, because now I've worked myself back to the other end of the loop, and I'm worried again.
Got it. So As opposed to a typical sports book, I think we decided we're each going to give our score prediction, but also a bold prediction along with it. Lines at 6.5, so we'll know by the score prediction whether you think Pitt covers or not. Does anyone want to do the honors? Does anyone want to kick us off? No? Okay,
I'll go.
I will.
No. Okay, you go.
All right.
All
Yeah, so I do think I'm nervous, and I do think that the Brawl is going to be a close game. We've seen that the past three renditions. None of these games have been separated by more than one possession. The two Pitt victories had to be done with last-minute heroics. There was no comfort. Pitt has trailed in the fourth quarter of all three of the Brawls that they've played these past three seasons. I think Pitt is the better football team. No, I know Pitt is the better football team as of right now. And I think they can get it done in Morgantown. The road team hasn't gotten it done in this 4-year series thus far. And that scares me. There's going to be a lot of angry hoopies. It's 3:30. They're going to have a lot of time to drink and get obnoxious and boisterous. And I think that stadium is going to be an interesting place. I think those fans are pissed off, but man, do not let them get any momentum early. Do not let them block a punt early. Do not let them force a fumble in opposing territory early, because that stadium could rev up really quickly. I think it's going to be another rock fight. I think it's going to be an ugly one. I think Pitt ultimately does pull this one off, and I think a lot of it is on the back of Eli Holstein. And my bold prediction for Saturday's game is that Eli Holstein is Pitt's leading rusher. Eli Holstein has over 15 carries on Saturday. I think they're going to go to him early and often. I think Kate Bell's going to put the ball in his hands and let him make the game. Squid, like you said, use Desmond Reed in the pass game more. I think we may even abandon the traditional run game a little bit, and a lot of these carries might just come from Eli tucking and running. And then in short yardage situations, letting Eli be the short yardage back. I think Eli is the leading rusher, has 15 or more carries on Saturday. And I do think the Pitt Panthers pulled this one out, but there's not going to be much breathing room. I've got a 24-21 Pitt win in Morgantown. They do not cover the 6.5. We leave winners. We leave happy because we won the Brawl, but the 60 minutes that it takes to get there will not be comfortable.
I'll go next because go ahead, David.
Wait, the start of that sentence leads me to believe that we all had rushing related bold predictions, because I was just going to tack something onto Dylan's because he pretty much wiped mine out completely.
Mine was Holstein related and kind of similar, so maybe we are on the same page.
All right, Squid, go ahead. While I think of something new.
Okay, well, my non-game related bold prediction is, despite not being in the stadium for the backyard brawl, David still finds a way to get puked on. It's a tradition for the backyard brawl.
No. That was Dylan year 2, which means you're the only one who hasn't gotten puked on, which means it's your turn.
You didn't get puked on in Morgantown?
No, I went to the bathroom before the game started, and where the kid puked would have been just like directly on the back of my head, but it caught Dylan instead.
Okay, so bold prediction. I get puked on at some point on Saturday to keep the tradition alive. But my real prediction...
Someone might just have to pull trigger all over Squid.
If it ensured a win, I would be okay with it, but the last time that happened, we lost anyway, so I don't think there's a correlation. Nice try. My real prediction, Eli Holstein accounts for all of our touchdowns 2 through the air and 1 rushing. And to Dylan's point, I think we're going to run him a lot. We saw another young hot shot coordinator do it. Ben Arbuckle, Oklahoma's new OC. He's 29, rose up through the ranks quickly, and now Power 4 offensive coordinator. He was drawing up all these QB powers with John Mateer, and it was working against Michigan. So I think Cade Bell is going to be like, oh, yeah, I can do that too with my quarterback. So Holstein, he'll run one in, but he'll throw for 2. Dylan, we're pretty much on the same page, so I'll save some analysis here. But I think it's a close game, but Pitt wins by 2 scores, 27-13. A late touchdown seals it.
You guys are killing me because first I was going to say Pitt outrushes West Virginia, which is only a bold prediction because we do not prioritize running the ball in any capacity, and it's like 5/8. That sounded so much better in my head. 5/8 isn't even that much. It's 7/8 of their playbook is running the ball. And I was going to say pretty much what you did, Dylan, that it was going to be a lot of Holstein tucking and running. You took that one away. I was going to have a Holstein-related one, albeit a negative one, but I don't think we can focus on one man all that much. So let me just say this. Penn State, West Virginia will have a touchdown either on special teams or from a trick play.
Or both.
So, or both. They are going to get creative to create possessions, to create points. I'm also leaning towards a rock fight, even though I think we have the superior football team. I'm actually anticipating a come to reality game for Holstein. I could see 2 picks. I could see 3 total turnovers. But I think he carries us to victory by toting the rock. I still think Pitt wins this one. I think it's going to be an absolute nail biter. Let's call it 28-24.
So none of us feel like Pitt's going to exactly light up the scoreboards. All under that 30-point threshold. Squid, you guys winning a 2-score game. Fellas, I think Saturday is going to be a game that we remember for a very long time, whether that's good or bad. Well, we're going to remember it and use it as a reference for at least the next 3 years while the Brawl isn't played, because it will be the most recent Brawl.
And it has to be. Every single backyard Brawl since it came back has been unbelievably memorable, for better or for worse. We have the MJ Devonshire play. We have Phil. And we have the birth of Eli Holstein and one of the crazier comebacks we've seen as Pitt fans. So it would be so fitting if this game was as exciting and nail-biting and just crazy in some way, shape, or form. I hope it isn't. I hope we win so easily. But it just doesn't seem right the way the last 3 have gone.
How sick would that be if it was just like a no doubt, no fusser?
Like Syracuse last year.
I don't think we can be that lucky.
No.
Any final thoughts before we close this one out?
Please win.
Please win. Please win the Brawl. Remember to say please extra this week, Pitt fans. Pretty please. Cherry on top, whatever it takes. Pitt Panthers heading to Morgantown on Saturday. It is the final rendition of this 4-year series of the Backyard Brawl. What number brawl is this? How do we not have this ready to go here? This is the 108th Backyard Brawl. It is being played on 9/13. What a significant date that is. Pitt fans, if you're making it down to Morgantown on Saturday, we salute you. You
Be safe.
Be safe.
Travel in pairs.
The bravest of soldiers. Honestly, wish I was making it down. I have a prior obligation. Cannot go to Morgantown. I really wish I was making it back down there because kind of bummed that my one appearance in Morgantown was the loss. But if you're making it down, good luck. Stay safe. Have fun. Bring us home a victory. If you're not making it down, find your closest group of Pitt friends, huddle together, get on your couch, your local watering hole, drink a ton of icy light, but most importantly, root on our Panthers, and please win. Hail, loyal sons of Pittsburgh.